Go Show. I'm your boy, Dr. Deontay Moss.
And I'm Dr. Crantel Moss, and we are
Moss and Marriage. Me, Dr. Moss, her, Dr. Moss, and God, because we include God in everything that we do. And we have a very special guest for you. We got the Crawfords!
What's up?
Hey, these is like some of our favorite people. We worked with them for a long time. They do all kind of stuff in the community. I know you done some stuff in schools, all kind of stuff. I knew you for a long time working in the schools. I know you do like movies, plays. You do series. I mean, you do all kind of anything they got to do with TV, movie. I mean, you don't put me in so much stuff, man. You done gave me my start. I remember I first met you in my bedroom. I didn't even know you was filming scenes in my bedroom. I didn't even know. Right. He was like, hey, man, come be a part of this movie. And I ain't never stopped being in your movies. Thank you, Lord.
I think my first time acting was in his movie, too.
Yeah, I think it was, and let's talk about it. We're going to talk about that. Our first time being in the movie, and why? Okay. Let's get to that, because there's a reason why that happened, right?
It fits the story.
Yes, it does. It does.
It fits.
But first, man, tell us what y'all been up to, who y'all are, what y'all been doing, because we're excited to have y'all on the show. So tell us about the Crawfords. What should we know about the Crawfords? What y'all doing? I know y'all do a lot. Just tell us what y'all doing now.
Do you want me to start? Yeah. Okay, you know I like to have your intro on me coming off you. So, my name is Lapala Crawford.
Yes, it is.
AKA Mr. Director LLC.
Let's go.
I am the creative director, writer, director, pretty much do everything of Primate Vision. Mm-hmm. This is our passion, our love. And film, everything we do, movies. We've been working for it since 2008. It wasn't Primate in 2008. It was just me with a little camcorder.
A vision.
An itty bitty camcorder.
Pop out a little camcorder and everything, the mic and the cam. Yeah, I don't want to go this. But yeah, we've been filming since 2008 and we've been going strong ever since then. So, of course, that was the first. That camera I had, that was the first film. You was in the first film. You walked in. See, imagine, now this is before you. So I can tell this story.
So this is a long time ago.
But we filming. Mm-hmm. He come in the house. We didn't know he was coming home. Because his dad was like, yeah, we gonna film my son room. We just gonna go down there and film. So he come downstairs. He stopped because he ain't expect to see cameras and 4 women sitting on the couches. And he come in and he's like, whoa. Hey, y'all. It's like, but it is what it is. It's like, we ain't doing nothing inappropriate, but.
Yeah, because some movies I saw start off that way.
Right.
They weren't appropriate.
So, a young man come home and find 4 women on this couch. He be like, wait a minute, this ain't right. This one like that when I left the house. So, Dad, what's going on, Pops? What you doing?
Right.
But ever since then, we've been rocking strong with the Mosses. So, yeah, that's us. Primate.
For sure. Anything you want to add?
Charise Crawford, the other half of Primate.
Yeah,
I do the behind the scenes stuff. I'm not in front of the camera doing much unless I have to. Which is pretty often. More often than I would like, but it's okay. So I do all the scheduling, I do all that kind of stuff. So all the grunt work is what I do. I let him have the creative juices and I do the other parts of it. What else? Is that it? I think that's it.
I mean,
Since we own it, though, how do you guys like working together, or how do you navigate that working together?
It's interesting. It is very, very interesting.
Very.
Because with as great as he is at what he does, he's hard-headed. And that's just, I gotta kind of push and I'm like, okay, like, do you want me to say it or do you not want me to say it? And sometimes he's like, just lay it out there. And sometimes he's like, nah,
not today.
Not today. So it's interesting. It takes a lot of patience, because For the most part, I'm blunt, and I try to be gentle, but sometimes gentle doesn't work. And when you're working with your spouse, it's very, very different than working with a stranger, because you're a little bit more gentle with a stranger than you would be with your spouse. So for me, it's finding that right dynamic to where it's like, okay, you know, yes, this is your spouse. Yes, you have a different type of relationship, but at the end of the day, this is still a business, and you still need to conduct yourself professionally. So it's that balance that I think over the years we've kind of come to figure it out. Yeah. But in the beginning, it was just like, do you want me to help you or not? Because.
How long have the Crawfords been married?
10 years.
10? Oh, a decade in that boy. Okay. And I don't know if you know this, but how did the Crawfords become the Crawfords? How y'all meet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know that?
You want me to tell the story? You want my version of it? I'll tell my version of it. Okay.
And we know this is always two different versions from the wife and the husband.
Okay, so the first thing to say about it is we were hooked up by mutual friends. But they didn't tell us they was hooking us up. All they told us, like, because best way to preface it is, I have a close friend that I did music with, and him and his wife, they met because their sons played basketball together. And at the time, my friend was coaching the team.
Gotcha.
So they put their heads together, it's like, oh, let's hook them up. But they didn't tell us. All they told her was like, well, we got somebody we want you to meet. Or they told me, we got somebody we want you to meet. Never said who. So my friend called me one day, he's like, hey, I'm at practice. You off work? Yeah, I'm off work. Come to practice, we'll go home, we'll work on music from there. So I go to practice. Now, mind you, I'm not looking my best presentable self because I was ready for work. I was ready for work. But then I ain't had to go to work. So I'm like, okay, I'm about to just be comfortable because we're going to be in the basement. We're going to be doing music. Look, I ain't shaving. I ain't doing nothing. And at the time, I always tell this part because it's important. It was cold, and at that time, I had this very warm triple fat goose. I don't care. If y'all don't know what a triple fat goose is, look it up. It's telling my age. The grades give it away. Triple fat goose. Warmest coat ever created. Sheds all the time, but you're going to be warm.
Feathers everywhere.
All right. So, I come into practice. Now, my friend's coaching. All the moms is lined up. There's only one seat left at the end, next to Charise. So we lined up like this. Say the two of you are two of the moms. I know them, didn't know her. They're talking. I'm right here. I can't talk over her to talk to people I know. So I'm trying to include her in the conversation. Guess I'm doing it too much because she literally turned me like a corner. She's sitting right here. I said something to her. She looked. Turned her back to me. And that was the rest of it. I was like, hey.
That is a lie.
That is not a lie. You just don't remember your body language.
No.
So,
he was like, I was like, if this man don't quit tapping me.
I did not tap you.
He tapped me. He did.
I did not tap. Well, I said, okay, correction. I did tap you one time.
One time.
Because I had to ask you a question about which one was your son. That's all I was asking. After that, I was just trying to include. I wanted to be included in the conversation too. I knew everybody but her. So I get it.
Husbands get it all over the world.
But
what's your side of the story?
I mean, most of it's the same, besides to turn him like a corner, because I did not. Just the same way I'm looking at y'all, that's how I was looking. I just didn't look back. You know, I didn't look back. I didn't know him. So why would I look back at somebody I don't know?
He wanted balance.
Yeah,
so I'm supposed to be like this.
He knew you was gonna be his wife.
It's like everybody was sitting facing to watching them practice, but she had to turn the full shot. All I got was the peripherals of the back. But to finish that story, that's how we met officially. After that, we had a listening party for one of the artists we worked with. So my friends was like, hey, we about to come pick you up. Remember we said we got somebody we want you to meet. They gonna be with us. It's like, all right, cool. Now, mind you, she and I had already been around each other because I'm at the house with my friend because we doing music, and she's at the house with his wife because they sons playing together, and they all cool. So they upstairs chilling, we in the basement doing music. I'm not thinking nothing of it. I get in the truck. She's in the truck with her and her friend. So, mind you, since I already met her I'm like, okay, they ain't talking about her.
Yeah,
So I thought it was
yeah.
I thought it was her friend. I was like, yeah, might have to pass on that one. I'm sorry. Look, I had this theory about people, and I don't want to offend women, but I have to say it. Ladies, if you crazy, y'all can hide it as well as y'all want, but the eyes don't let nothing go. The crazy is in the eyes. Unfortunately, her friend had the crazy eyes, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that. So we went to the listening party, and now we kind of talk. We chopping it up. We talking. Now this is where things.
She got her back
No.
towards you now.
No, we're talking.
We talking regularly because she's asking me about the music and everything. I'm like, all right, this is a genuine conversation. We cool.
Mm-hmm.
We had a young lady that we did music for that came. She almost ruined me and her even being nice with each other. So she came, she sat behind me. Now me and this young lady, we argue like sister and brother. So she getting on my nerves because I'm like, you're an artist. It's producers, music people. You supposed to be getting up, talking to these people. She keep, what are we supposed to be doing? I was like, if you don't get your butt up and go talk to some of these people. Now mind you, I ain't know that. In her mind, she's like, oh, he mean to his girlfriend.
Oh, I said that. I absolutely said that.
She thought it was your girlfriend.
Yeah. He mean to his girlfriend. Then I felt the shoulder coming back. But after that, we just start hanging out more and we start spending more time with each other because we was in the same circles and having fun. And now this is where I say how God moves things into position. 4 years, because like, you know, I've been in Toledo all my life. Been doing music and working around the city, you know, a lot of DJs, helping out with UT parties and everything. And she's been here since came to UT to go to college. Come to find out, we have majority of our friend circle
Same.
is the same. So one of her favorite fraternity brothers is like my big brother. Been writing and doing music with him for years. One of her sorority sisters knew her from writing and doing music for years. There's a couple of friends that she went to college with, I grew up with. So we've been around each other without being around each other for years before we even met and found out. So everything just trickled down from
Let
there.
me add to that. The irony, we went to the same church. We actually were on the same ministry,
Really?
but never met.
Wow. It must have been a big
Never
ministry.
met.
Right.
Well, it was a media ministry.
Okay.
And I worked with, a guy I called my brother, he also called his brother. So we worked between him. So I worked more on the website side because that's my background. And he worked more on the camera media side, but we were on the same ministry, on the same team, but had never met. Now, mind you, we go to the same church. Never met.
One time.
Not once.
But,
And that's for 4 years we went to the same church.
wow. Now y'all been married for 10 years. That's what's up. So
So-
that's the Crawford love story.
Right. At what point did y'all realize like each other were the one and you wanted to take it up a notch?
It took a natural progression.
Okay.
He knew right away because he said it. Like when we officially started dating, he asked those questions and I was just like, I don't ever want to get married. So like I had it in my head that I never wanted to get married.
Okay.
Like when I was younger, I had these, I want to do this. But as I got older, I was like, I don't want none of that. You know, I'm like, no. So I told him, I was like, I don't want to get married. You know, I'm good where things are, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, okay. It was like his mental note. That okay was like, okay, we'll see.
No worries. I'll help you get past that.
It was a natural progression of things. The funny thing about it is we were, like I said, we were hanging around the same people, my friend and his wife. So we be at their house a lot. We didn't realize we were doing it, but they noticed we were doing it to where, like, if I wasn't there, she would ask, like, where my boyfriend at? Or if she wasn't there, I'm like, oh, let me call my girl, see where she at.
Yeah.
And we would say that around them, but we would never say it to each other. So one day, she was going out of town for an event.
Regionals for my sorority.
And now correct me if I'm wrong, you told her to give me your number or?
Yeah.
Okay. She told our friend's wife to give me her number. So day I called her, she was
In Indianapolis.
Indianapolis in the regionals. While she supposed to be kicking it at the regionals, we on the phone the whole time.
Okay.
So it was like she was pretty much on the phone with me the whole event.
Right.
So we talked and everything and just all night. And I think it was that night to where it was like it clicked for both of us. Like, okay, this is something worth investing time into.
Yeah. That's dope.
We
So-
did the whole, you hang up, no, you hang up.
No, you ain't. It was a couple of times music was just playing and I was,
Oh, you fell asleep on the phone. Natural progression. Yes.
That's cute.
No, those are great conversations. Yes. I think we all had some of those conversations.
And I love how it starts out as like just a friendship, just a natural bond. We're finding that to be common with the couples that we've been speaking with. Also, we finding that the guy started out as a stalker, but you wasn't a stalker this time.
I mean, he
So-
knew though. Like, I was like, nah, I'm good. He was like, she about to be mine. I'm like,
I'm not a stalker, but I'm confident, but also shy at it at the same time. My whole thing is, I'm not going to stalk you. I'm not going to press you because I don't want anything that you choose to do to be because you felt like you had to do it.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was, I would never ask you to do certain things. But if you do it, I know for a fact you did it because you wanted to, not because I asked you to. So everything I was doing was like, all right, I'm doing this because I want to. You don't have to do anything back. You don't have to. If you don't ever want to cook for me, you don't have to. I'll cook. If you don't want to go out, cool. We can just talk. Whatever it is. Pretty much, to me, it was like if it's your idea, I know you really want to do it.
Right.
So, but I would put myself in a position where like, okay, yeah, listen, I'm here if you're ready for it. Just say the word.
Created a space.
Right. So it's just, I keep saying natural progression because it never felt forced at any time. It was never a case of, I don't know, does she really like me or do she do not like me? It was like, I knew she liked me because she's one of the most transparent people I've ever met.
in the beginning, I was way transparent. Because then when I did like him, I'm like, he's still giving me forehead kisses? What is this? You know, I'm like, So then I was like, okay, now that you know I like you, like, what is this? So.
About to blow it, speed it up.
And I told you that, didn't I?
No, you didn't tell me. Our friend they gonna pick up. It's like, you about to mess up. You better do something quick. You better figure something out. Make a move or something. Hit it. With a nose pass or something, because these hints you're throwing are being too nice and too careful. And my thing was, my past relationships that I've ever been with, I pressed the issue, I pushed for it, I pushed it. Those didn't end well. So it was like, okay, I rushed those situations. When you rush something, you might miss something, and that ends up hurting something.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I'm not rushing nothing with her.
Okay.
I'm gonna take my time, and I don't care how long it take. I'm gonna take my time, and it's gonna work. It's gonna stick.
Okay.
And that's where my mindset is at. It almost backfired on me, as she mentioned, like, he taking too long. I got things to do in the morning.
Figured it out though.
Yeah, we figured it out.
That's what's up.
So you said at the game, you were there watching her son. You have a son before her as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have a blended family situation.
Yes,
Let's talk about navigating that.
that's rough.
Rough and very, very interesting.
Rough and interesting. Anytime you have a blended family situation, you have to factor in, it's not just her and I and the children we have together. We have 2 other adults that's involved in that situation. I think that's where a lot of the horror stories you hear about blended families come into play, is because everybody gets so focused on our family's blended because it's just you, me, and our children who we don't have together, but we bringing them together.
Right.
And they get so focused on that. But no, you also have to factor in that there's 2 other adults that's in that, and they do have influence on the children that you have together.
Right.
And earlier on, speaking for myself, I didn't take that into account as much as I should have.
Okay.
And that caused a lot of ripples. And what she mentioned earlier, patience. a lot of patience, got us through a lot of those waves we was hitting, trying to navigate being a blended family.
Yeah. Any tips for people who are in those deep waters? Because your sons now are grown, right?
Two of them.
Two of them are grown.
So two are grown,
One's
is
a
not,
junior, he'll
and
be-
of course,
Okay.
Jesse's a baby.
Yeah. So tips for navigating
Patience.
that.
Patience is the key.
Communication.
Yeah.
Patience and communication, that is important. I think the other biggest thing is not just communication between husband and wife or mates, but with the children and with their respective parents.
Okay.
And setting the right boundaries all across the board. You know, I think that's important because you don't want someone who wants to, and we didn't have this where somebody want to just do too much. Like, hold on now, like, back up. I've seen that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't try to do more and you can't try to implement your own family values into something where, you know, you might be dealing with kids that have, their family don't have the same values. Yeah. So you can't have that same expectation. I've seen that and that backfired. Yeah. You know, luckily we didn't have that situation, but I think that's very important is to learn what dynamic is going to work for your relationship. Because again, it's not just your relationship. You've got children and you've got their respective parents involved. Right. And across the board, you have to still be respectful.
Right.
So.
Have to figure that out.
You've always been solid people.
We tried.
Always been solid, great people. And I know this for a fact because we worked on so many projects together, right?
Right.
We've done all kind of movies, plays, series, all types of stuff. So we've been around each other for a long time. But the very first time that I was, not the first time, I was going to be one of the main characters in one of your movies, right?
Right.
You casted me for a movie, and this is right before me and Taya got together and we was about to be together, right?
We were together.
Y'all was
We
together.
were married.
Y'all were together. Oh yeah.
Okay.
We talked on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the conversation on the phone. But I had got casted for the movie, and I was the main character, and there was a kissing scene in the film,
Yes.
right? And I told Taya about it.
You didn't tell Tia about it. Tia found out, and then Tia called Lapala.
Yeah. So no, I'm gonna stop you right here, and I'm gonna tell you.
I told Taya.
I'm gonna tell you. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because of you, me and your wife almost didn't like each other forever. So let's put it all out since you brought it up. Okay. So yes, we casted you in the movie Love or Nothing at All.
Yep.
We had already did the promo for it, promo video and everything. I didn't know you didn't tell her. Because she found out because you let her read the script. And that's how she found out. And this is why I know she didn't know, because you called me ahead of time, was like, hey, my wife's about to call you. She gonna talk to you about the movie. I was like, all right, well, whatever you decide, it's your choice. I casted you. I want you in the movie. But I'm not gonna interfere with your marriage and do anything that's gonna cause problem in your marriage. I don't mind talking to your wife. But it's still my movie. So if you in the movie, this is happening. I'm not taking it out. So we and her and talk. So she talked, she called, we talking, and it was a very pleasant conversation, which I appreciated. But I respected, but didn't respect, because at the time I was so focused on getting my movie done. I was like, it's just the movie. Why is this? She tripping. It's just the movie. And I even said in our conversation, it's like, you know, actors and actresses that. She's like, well, he ain't them. So, and I have to admit this because I had to put the phone on mute. I don't know if you caught it, because I cracked up laughing when you said this. He was like, well, I don't think it's right. My husband put his mouth on any other woman. I'm like, I'm cracking up. I was like, it's laughing. Then she's like, well, I talked to my pastor and she agrees with me. And I'm like, well, I talked to my pastor and he in the movie. So, so we going back and forth like that. But at the end of it, I said, if I'm not taking him out the movie, but if y'all come together and y'all decide this isn't for him, there's no hard feelings. I will respect that.
Right.
And that's why it's been no problem ever since.
And that hard decision was made.
Right.
I didn't complete the movie.
Right.
I backed out of the movie because I couldn't put my mouth.
Oh, no, I get it.
But you know what the funny part about that, all that is? So me and Taya have been in what? 10, 15, 20 projects together? a lot of projects together. Who plays my wife in every project?
What do you know?
My wife. If I'm gonna put my mouth on anybody, she said it's gonna be me.
And that's like, and actually, that's what made it easy when you auditioned to be an under. It was that, number one, you're naturally talented for it, but the chemistry y'all already had as husband and wife just translated well to the film. So I was like, I ain't got no problem if it worked, it worked.
Hey, y'all remember when I shot Taya?
Wait, and take a step back though. It worked because she's actually a good actress too. You know, and she auditioned, which was a good part of it too. You know, so I think that's important to say because sometimes they like, oh, well, they husband and wife, they just casted them. Well, no, they both auditioned and they both did well. You know. Yeah. And of course, he got the shooter
in the movie.
It
movie.
It's just acting.
Yeah. She agreed to be shot.
That was a good scene.
I will say this. You guys are the first married couple that came into one of our projects already married. But out of our projects, out of everything we've done, we've had 3 marriages develop
I was
from
about
it.
to say that.
Yeah,
I done seen y'all be matchmakers in movies. I know, it's like they've been casting for movies and they're like, hold on, wait a minute.
Here's my thing, and this is what I tell everybody. Everybody laughs at me when I say this. Like, look, I'm just the director. When I say cut, I mean cut. But if y'all keep it going after that, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I just wrote it in the script. That ain't even y'all. That's DeAndre and such and such. That's the character names. If y'all take it further than that, that's Moss and Moss. That's how that works. I'm not taking no responsibility because if it go bad, it ain't my fault.
Hey, but you know what though? I think all of them are still together.
Yes.
So that's a good thing, right? And that's been years. So
Yes.
that's what's up.
From the very
since
first
2008.
Yeah.
Yes. The couple from our first film, Dare.
Yeah.
Then a couple from, was it Under? Yep, it was Under. And a couple from, we were actually going to reshoot Love or Nothing at All. And we had a couple, we didn't finish that project, but we had a couple that met from that.
On set.
On set.
Okay.
And they ended up getting married.
That's what's up.
That's power.
Yeah, that is.
Power and influence.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings to our thoughts about surrounding yourself with other married couples. What's your thoughts on that?
Very important.
Why?
Other married couples can relate to other married couples. It's one thing, it's fine to have single friends. You got friends that's single, that's going to be in your life. You ain't going to just cut off your single friends just because you got married. But there's certain things that they won't understand unless they're in it. So, for example, if me and her beefing, I'm not going to go to my single friend and be like, man, she tripping today. No, I'm like, hey, Moss, man, we done got into it. This is what it is. And being a real friend, now here's the key thing about even having married couples around. If they're not genuine, true friends, don't even involve them. And when I say involve, is you don't keep them at an arm's length. Because genuine, true friends, even if you are wrong, they won't interject their own personal feelings. They will call you out when you're wrong. So if I know if I was to call Moss, like, man, I said this and she did this, he's like, you tripping, bro.
Right.
You tripping. Shut your mouth, go listen to your wife. Or vice versa. If Charise came to you and she was tripping, like, girl, you know men be crazy, but you are kind of tripping, so you need to. So if you got real friends that's gonna be real with you compared to even if they married, man, Moss, you tripping, man, yeah, tell what you messing around and doing all this too. I'm with you, man. We should go to the club. No, you don't want that ain't what I called you for, man. I ain't trying to get divorced. I'm
Just trying to get it out.
It's like, I'm just like, we need a huddle. This is like, we getting beat on the field right now. We got
And I appreciate you too, because you have been that friend to me too. You know, we done had many deep conversations, just me and you on the phone, or we even we had a group where we shared challenges and stuff to help propel our marriage. So I appreciate you always being a guy for me. You know what I'm saying? A real friend. So that's what's up.
We was also chatting about the Facebook stat you seen today.
Yeah. So
And what did it say?
What is a positive of marriage?
Yeah.
What is a positive of marriage?
Yes.
What's your thoughts?
a positive of marriage,
Yeah.
you know, it's all positive for me.
Hey, you
know
better
what
talk your talk.
I'm saying? That's a good question.
What
Do you,
about you?
on the stat, because we kind of talked about it earlier, it was married people commenting, but it was single people commenting.
Yeah.
So it was a variety of different types of answers and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So what was some of the stuff that stood out that we thought?
I think the responses, and I dug a little deeper to make sure I was correct in seeing that some of the initial responders were male, but they were male unmarried. That's not to say they weren't in relationships, but they were unmarried. And their responses, in my opinion, were of people who are not married and maybe either have never been married or were in a bad marriage that ended in divorce.
Okay.
Because it was like, oh, it depends on if it's a man or a woman. Like, what? I mean, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're married or you want to get married, you're going to see something positive in it, I hope. And so that was one of the funniest things. And then I commented, and I actually listed things. I said, you know, love, compassion, companionship, friendship, communication. Those are positives of marriage.
Right.
And then we had another young lady comment below me, love. She said it's better with two people, but two heads are better than one. And she said some similar, she said communication too. So I found it kind of ironic that, you know, I don't know, actually didn't click on her. So that's the first irony of it. Because I clicked on the first two and I'm like, okay. And then I was just like, you know, and then the person who put the post, you know, they actually commented on everybody's, you know, and was like, you know, thank you for this and thank you for this. But then, and they're not argumentative, they like discussion. So they kind of followed up with questions, and you could tell by the responses, it's like, this is interesting because, you know, Facebook, social media, sometimes people feel like they're under attack when they're not. Right. It's like if I'm asking you, you know, for more information, that's all I'm asking for. I'm not trying to drag you. I'm not trying to provoke you to be angry. You made a comment. You made a comment on my stat. Okay. I'm just asking you, you know, could you elaborate? What do you mean? What you mean what I mean? I mean what I said. Like, whoa. Right.
Slow down. Can I get clarification, please?
I'm trying to understand.
Right.
But yeah, it was really interesting to see the responses, and I don't know if anybody else has responded since then, but I don't know. It was that topic that when we came in here, I was like, you know, it's interesting that became a question that was on Facebook.
Yeah. If you had to pick one thing, like, what do you think one of the greatest blessings of marriage is to you?
The greatest blessing, I would have to say companionship / friendship. Because I think with that, everything else comes together. Yeah. Because I can be with you, but if we're not friends, we're not going to communicate very well. I think it causes a lot of rifts when you don't see that person as your person. Like, I see him, he is my person. Yeah. You know, ups, downs, whatever. You know, when I feel happy, I go to you. When I feel sad, I go to you. When you make me mad, I come to you because we got to work through this. Yeah. And we can't stay mad. You know, nobody's perfect. So it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, we're great. We never argue. Nuh-uh. Yeah. For a long time, though, he wouldn't argue. I do that because we don't argue. We just have discussions to me. Yeah. Okay. But he would just, okay. I'm like, that's not working for me. And I think that's an important part of any relationship. You can't have that, oh, I'm going to go with the flow. No, that doesn't work. Yeah. Funny thing about when we met, he the very first birthday we shared together was mine. and he bought me all this stuff. I mean, and it's some expensive stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. Okay, I see you. You know, and then he bought me some more stuff, and he bought me some more. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And I said, so let's start this out. Let's rewind a little bit. I'm going to let you know now, you are going to have to learn how to tell me no. And he kind of looked at me.
This is powerful.
And he was like, what? I said, if you don't learn how to tell me no, the moment you do, it's a wrap.
I'm gonna die.
Well, no, I'm not. No, you gonna die. I'm joking. But
You created this monster.
you've created this monster. You're my yes man. So for you to tell me no, what do you mean no? You better fix that. You know, so for me, and that's my transparency. I'm like, if you don't learn how to tell me no, the minute you do, we're going to have a problem.
Okay.
And we're not going to know how to work through it because I don't know what that means.
That's good.
You know, when I see people say, I don't know, no. Why not though? I need to know and understand no, because everything can't be a yes.
Right.
And so he had to understand that because he was looking at me like, what you mean? You know, this what you said you wanted. I said, well, what happens to the day where you can't get me what I said I wanted?
Okay.
Then what? And he was like, I never thought about that. I was like, well, you got to think about that because...
That's powerful.
Yeah. There indeed will be a day.
Right. I might not like it, but at least
Yeah.
I'm accustomed to knowing that you have the capacity to say it.
Right.
So.
And if you wanted to, wanted to do it for me, you would.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's powerful too.
And not necessarily if you wanted to, because if you can't, no matter how much you want to, you just can't.
Right.
So no is no, not because I want to say no, but maybe I have to say no.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference though
Mm-hmm.
between wanting to say no, meaning,
Being spiteful.
yeah, I'm just not going to do it because that's just not what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying no because I'm not in a position to do it.
And that's the hard
You know
part.
what I mean? Like that's different to me.
The funny thing about that is like all that leads into my answer to your question on the one thing, the one blessing of benefit of marriage, and that leads to mine being peace of mind. So with that, I've always had in my mind like, okay, I used to tell myself, I will give you the world in anything as long as you don't ask me for it. Because if you're constantly asking me for stuff, that means that's all you want from me. So, but if you don't ask me for nothing, I'll give you the world. Because that means you will genuinely appreciate anything that I do for you. And that's how I felt about her. She's like, oh, I appreciate it, and I thank you and all that. And it was reciprocated because she did stuff for me too. And I'm like, wait a minute, I ain't never had nobody do this for me. Like I've had people cook for me before. Hey, I can cook for myself. I had somebody like, oh, yeah, we can go to the movies or something, but I end up paying. It was your idea to come, but I end up with the bill. So if she came up with the idea, she genuinely like it's been times where she got mad at me. It's like, no, I invited you. So that's where that came from. And when she told me, and I was like, wow, that's a different situation. I ain't never experienced that. But how the peace of mind comes into play, and this all ties into the patience and the communication and everything. It's one of those aha moments for me to where she and I was in one of our biggest arguments we've ever had in our relationship. I'm talking about she let me have it. Like, talking about, like, I want to punch you in the face. And like, it's tears, both of us crying. In the midst of our argument, I get a phone call from my sister on my dad's side telling me my dad had just passed. In that moment, all anger left. We didn't say anything else. She just came up, stood up, and hugged me. And from that point, that also reminded me that this is why I married her. This is why I love her. Yeah. This is why, when she mentioned best friend, your companion, my person, it's her. And I start thinking back to other moments. Like, even though we've been filming since 2008, and that was our first film you was in, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her. Because like I said, when me and her met, I was fully invested in music. It's like, and She's like, well, why don't you talk about movies and all this? And you know a lot about film. How come you don't make a movie? It's like, because I'm going to do the music, and I'm going to make the money off the music, and that's going to pay for the movie. She's like, well, you got all these scripts that you wrote. Why don't you film one of them? Because I'm going to do the music, make the money, and that's going to pay for the movies. She's like, well, why don't you just get the equipment? I was like, I ain't got the money for it. Well, you the youngest of 14 kids on your dad's side. You ever talked about one of your siblings? I'm like, I don't like them, but I'm going to ask them. Because I was like, yeah, I'm the youngest of 14, but by the time I was born, I was like, my dad was tired of being a dad at that point, which I thought. Come to find out, me and my brother, we talked and find out we both was like, Dad wasn't nothing for us, but we just loved him still.
Yeah.
But through that, she was like, just ask what she say. So because of her, I asked my sister, can you help me get equipment? My sister sent me the money, and that first camera we had, my sister paid for that.
Wow, that's what's up.
So if it wasn't for her pushing me to say, just jump out there on the limb and do it, it wouldn't be a primate vision. I'll probably still be saying, if I do the music, this is gonna pay off for that. But you have to have that person that will have those tough conversations with you out of love, not out of spite.
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits of having that peace of mind. Like, I may not like anything you saying right now. Oh, you get on my nerves. I'm going to work. Don't.
And that's one thing. You can't leave the house without giving me a kiss. Like, that's important.
Yeah.
It's a
On
part
the
of
lips this
what
time,
we
no
do.
more forehead. You tired of the forehead kisses?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Them forehead kisses
We
stopped
thank
in
y'all
2008.
so much for being on
for
the
having
show.
us.
Thank you
For
for being a
sure.
part of Marcy Marriage.
For
You know,
sure.
y'all one of our favorite couples in the world, and we just happy to have dialogue and share conversation with y'all on this platform. So thank y'all for being with us.
Oh,
Thank
you
you.
for having
Thank you
us.
so much.
So that's the wrap, y'all. It's Marcy Marriage. We're gonna bring y'all more other married couples, and we're gonna have more other great conversations. Marcy Marriage goes the show. I'll let your boy. We out.
Let's go.
Peace out.